What's good, good people? Welcome to Whole Views. Thank you for clicking that thumbnail. My name is Corey, and today we're going to be talking about Skull Island, the animated show on Netflix. So I just finished this little 8-episode run. It was a very quick, super bingeable show. Like, it was a very, very good little animated series. I think that they set it up perfectly to come back and do another season. And I want to just sit here and talk to you about, one, some of the questions I have about it, and two, what did it do good? Because it's not much that it did bad. So the questions, let's start off with the things that initially crossed my mind. When they premiered the idea of a Skull Island, my first thought was, is this connected to everything else? Because we've seen Kong versus Godzilla now in the live action films. We've seen Kong Skull Island live action films. And there are elements of those two movies in this show. And I was like, is there a timeline? Does this come up anywhere? And it doesn't feel like it's really a part of all that, although it does have ideas that it shares with that. The idea of Middle Earth is a theory that is brought up here in this show. Some of the creatures that you see in Kong Skull Island make another appearance here, getting demolished by Kong. But I was always left wondering, is this connected to anything else? And if so, where in the timeline does it fall? It doesn't really seem like it has a place. And that's not something that's gonna keep me from enjoying it though. I thought it was a very good show regardless of where it falls in the continuity of things. Let's talk about the good because there's not much bad. The voice acting and animation is solid. I really enjoyed all the characters that they brought to life with this show. The scenario that they put the characters in and why they end up at Skull Island is super believable. There's only one character that really feels out of place because he's an adventure seeker in a world where everything is so dangerous around him. It just didn't make sense that he would continue with the sense of wonderment and awe that he displayed throughout the season. But it wasn't a bad thing, but it just was something that stuck out in my mind. He's the only character that just didn't feel super realistic based on the situation that they put him in. The tone of the show is kind of weird to me because at times it feels very dire and very serious, but then the tone also shifts to be something kind of jovial, something kind of playful. The thing that I would most closely compare it to would probably be the MCU, like the early days, the early Iron Man, Incredible Hulk stuff, where you have a real serious feel to the show, but then at the same time, they're popping off one-liners and they're zinging and they're doing things, and the banter between our two main characters is pretty good throughout. And they managed to bring a lot of levity to situations, even if those situations are dire situations. So it keeps it light enough, but it is a fairly serious in nature, adult style animated show. How was Kong though? That's probably a question a lot of people have, and I think that Kong was displayed quite well here. It's not necessarily the same King Kong as you get with, let's say, Peter Jackson's one that came out way back in the day, but it is a good version of King Kong. It's not specifically the same version that you get in Kong Skull Island. Like, he is massive, yes, but to say that he is the exact same figure, nah, I don't think that is the same here as it was there. It just seems as though these animated shows do a very good job in capturing the nature of a beast, Kong being a monster because he's so big and so massive in size. And I just felt like they did a good job taking him and making him a character that was relatable, a character that understood the people and the hierarchy and where he fit in his entire situation. I thought it was done pretty well. He does have a bit of emotion to him. He does have a bit of regalness about him that you don't necessarily see in the shows or in the movies that we've seen in recent history. So that part was different and that part was cool. The human stuff is a big deal, right? So in all the Kong and Godzilla movies, they tend to make the human stuff the worst stuff that you get. But you get to travel along with several different characters and you actually care about them before you get the meat and potatoes of Kong and how Kong came to be who he is and how he is, or the villainous monster of the movie. How did that monster come to be and all that? You get all that stuff on the back end, you get the people stuff on the front end, and the people stuff again was good and it got you invested. It's presented to you at a level of intrigue and mystery, and then as you get the reveals are quite good. Talking about reveals and cliffhangers and stuff, right? So we get the end of the season and there are at least 5 questions that I can think of very quickly off the top of my head that leaves me wanting, like really anticipating a season 2 of this. Will they get a season 2? That is the big question. The reason why it's a concern is because Netflix does not do a good job with renewing and announcing the renewal of their animated properties. So I tried to watch Record of Ragnarok. That was, to me, just not a good presented anime. I know it probably comes from a manga or something like that, and there are people who are really into it, and it got a season 2. And it got a season 2 unbeknownst to me. Like, I didn't know that that happened, and I don't feel like season 1 was really good enough to get a renewal. Now, on the opposite side of that, there was another show called The Blood of Zeus, which was a really good show. I believe came out like 2020 or 2019. I watched it on Netflix. I really enjoyed it. I think I reviewed it and threw it up on the channel. I recently rewatched it maybe a few months back. And that was a good show. And it was just recently announced here in 2023 that that show is going to be getting a season 2 that probably won't see the light of day until 2025. Like, we talking 5 years later and y'all just getting a season 2 on a property that was a very good little animated show. I know things take time to produce. I know we are in the midst of a writer strike and everything else. But season 1 of that was so long ago that that writer strike was nowhere in sight. Y'all could have had at least that being worked on and like finalized in production at this moment, if not already out, because it's been 3 years at this point. I know animation takes a while, but not all of it. You know, this is not Rick and Morty with tons of detail. This is a straightforward animated show on Netflix. You're all in-house. Just get it done. It's kind of the feel that I have, and I'm hoping that they do the right thing and get it done in relation to this Skull Island, because I think it was a pretty good little 8-episode thing. And if you could come back and give me another 8 to 10 episodes in a quick turnaround fashion, that would be great. Who knows if they're gonna do it though? Your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, if you enjoyed the show and you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on Skull Island. I thought it was a good animated little feature. I'm really intrigued to see another season and see if they answer some of those questions that immediately came to mind at the end and conclusion of that season. So let me know. And that's all we got for this one, y'all. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something